The Sikha of Yisrei Dalid is based on Farbrengen in Tafshin Tezvav and also the Maamar Lesia Mishakela. The Maamar Lesia Mishakela is legendary in Chabad. Interesting, it's not in Sefer Maamar Malukit. It was never edited as a Maamar. It's edited in, I believe, in more than one place in the Sichos. Different Sichos are based on some of the themes of Lesia Mishakela. But the story of the Maamar, just appreciate those nekudas the Rebbe was talking about. That's really the second half of the Sikha, the whole story of Yechon Mitzakai, Eini idea of Ezederach Melichin. That stuff, that Maamar was intense, was absolutely intense. And what I want to actually do is read some of the Yomanim, small snippets, some of the diaries of Chavdet. It's from the website Mafteach. Incredible website, and they have 4 different Yomanim. Each one of them, regardless of how long or short their Yoman of Tafshin Yud Beis is, they address this. So the first is Shabbos Mevarchim and Pash Mishpatim. This is from Rabbi Levertov. The Rebbe said the Maamar Lesia Mishakela without an introduction. Usually the Rebbe would give a Sikha or 2 and then give a Maamar. Over here, the Rebbe came, sat down, without even a l'chaim, told people to sing a nigun, and started the Maamar. He writes that the Maamar lasted 55 minutes, but all the other Yomanim say it lasted even longer. And it was the longest Maamar since the beginning of the Nasius, which was about approximately a year earlier. The Rebbe cried a lot. That's his description. And he says, people say that the Rebbe tied that handkerchief on his right hand instead of what he usually did, which is his left hand. Now, that's one Yaman. Here we go to a second Yaman. This is from Gansberg. He also says it was 55 minutes. He also says it was 55 minutes. And he says the Rebbe cried a lot. And sometimes the Rebbe couldn't hold back and he cried out loud. And when the Rebbe explained the idea of Es Mispa Yamecha Amali, each one of us, Hashem gives us a time to fill. As the Eibishter get Yeder, Hashem gives each and every one of us a set amount of days, each one individual, through which in those days we'll finish our Veda. And that the time is very counted, and not just days, but hours and seconds. And therefore we have to complete the Veda, just like Rabbi Menzaki, you got to squeeze everything out of every second. And because that thing doesn't give any peace, because the stress of knowing that you have to do, so you're verquetscht and verjugt, you want your pressure to squeeze in as much as you can in every single second. So he says, when the Rebbe was saying that, you saw that the Rebbe was living through what he's saying. And the Rebbe sobbed, and couldn't continue talking. And the Rebbe put his holy head on his right arm and cried. And he says, I cannot describe to you the scene with my with a writing pen. I just ask from Hashem that this picture, this image should never leave me the rest of my life. Just understand the description. This is from Real Khan. He says like this, Shabbos Pash Mishpatim is the Maamar Lesia Mishakela, without any introductions. Right when the Rebbe came in, he said to sing. And then the Maamar Rebbe explained the idea of Mishakela V'Akol Baruchnius. And the Rebbe says that a person, how can you make sure that you're not satisfied when you think about how much your life has to be complete? He says the Rebbe cried a lot. When the Rebbe spoke about Yomim Yutzadu, so he writes, Hayazeir Shreklich. It was terrifying. The Rebbe cried a lot, put his head on the table and cried. He said, especially when the Rebbe said he's moideid v'melech, he's rebelling against Hashem. So when he says, when the Rebbe said the word b'melech malchi hamlachim, he stopped. He was sobbing, and then he just managed to say from melech to Hakadosh Baruch Hu. He says, sorry, I'm not sure why I said earlier. Everyone says it was 55 minutes, and he says there was no Maamar as long. I don't know why I thought it said an hour and 5 minutes. But anyway, like this is the Rebbe's chayser coming and saying, literally the Rebbe was like breaking from word to word, just to understand the intensity of this Maamar. And finally, from Elia Gross, He says, the Rebbe said you have to use up every second, fulfilling the shlichus of the Eibishter, Atzmas Umhus. He starts crying, and yammert. Yammert, I think in Yiddish means like he absolutely sobbed. He just bawling. But even in a way that we never heard before. So I think this just gives a bit of context to the theme. The Rebbe is really bringing out in the Maamar and then in the Sikha the idea of squeezing out time. The time is real. That every moment, every opportunity is. We don't know how much time the Eibishter gave us, and this is your time. And squeeze. And obviously, not in a dangerous stress, but there has to be this awareness. I'm talking to myself, not to anyone else. This awareness that it's serious. But the Eibishter gave us a shlichus, and we have to complete it. And if you have another free minute, use it. Fulfill your shlichus. It doesn't only mean doing mivtzaim, it also means being a good spouse and a good parent and a good child. In other words, it's not saying that the shlichus is only specifically in one area, but whatever you're doing, just realize this is where I need to be at this time, and do it with an incredible amount of intensity and awareness. L'chaim.